Hi everyone, Dean Caffey here, and today I'm going to be demoing the Digitech RP360 XP tone library, and we're going to be working on getting the presets for a song by Pink Floyd called Shine On You Crazy Diamond. And to begin with here, I'm at the digitech.com homepage. And before we get started, one thing to know: in order to hook your multi-effects unit up to the PC, there is a USB port that is needed, and it hooks up back in here, and it's a USB Type B. Now if we scroll down to the specifications, it says it right here, USB Type B. I went to Walmart to try to find one, and I was only able to find a USB Type A when I went. However, I did find one at Staples, and it looks like a printer connector. However, it has to be the specific one here, the Type B. And then the other end of the cable is just a regular USB that fits right into your PC. So once you have your RP360 XP connected to your PC, the next step before utilizing the tone library for simplification is to download the Nexus program. Now they do have one for Windows, and they do have one for the Mac as well. So whichever one is the one that's most appropriate for you, certainly go ahead and download that. Once you do, you'll end up with an icon on your desktop that looks like that. Okay, so getting back here to the digitech.com webpage, if we scroll down a little bit further, here's where the tone library is, and you'll see that they have quite a selection here of a lot of different songs with a lot of different presets. When I first saw this, at first I thought if you double click on it that it would automatically download the preset to your unit, and you just plug in and play, and that would be that. However, that's not the case. Here on our selection, if I double click on this, it actually is uploading a file, and if we take a look at it, this is what it looks like. So as you can see, it's a far cry from actually downloading the preset to your unit and just plugging your guitar in and playing to it. So we need to do some work on that. And actually, what I did was to reorganize it a bit here. So going from 0 to 9, these are all the different pedals in the effects chain. And up here, this is where the sort of a global instruction is, and I'll get more into that here in just a moment. But here are all the different names that we'll be working with. There's a compressor, there's a distortion unit, the amp, equalizer, gate, the noise gate. There's a univibe in here. There's also a reverb pedal as well. And so there's all these different settings for those pedals in the pedal chain. Before we get started with setting that up here, however, let's take a listen to the sound that we're going to be going for. And here it is, the David Gilmore, Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Okay, so that's the sound we are going for. And now at this point what we'll do is going to hook up the RP360 XP to the PC. Alright, and we're just going to double click on the Nexus editor. And wait for that to upload here. Okay, so, and that little banjo sound, that's just my Microsoft program telling me I just did something. Okay. So I've already saved what we're going to be working on for the simple reason that in order for you to hear the difference between the affected signal and the dry signal, if I don't save it, I will lose the settings. So now what I'm going to do is use this as a basis to work with. And this is not what is recommended to do. It's recommended that you get a setting that is similar to the one that you want to change it to, because it's less work to do. However, because on the RP360 XP the presets are mostly distortion, there are some very nice settings that are clean settings. However, there's not that many of them. So as opposed to going in and overwriting a clean setting, I'm going to overwrite one that I'm not particularly going to use, like this one here. I'm not going to be using that, so I don't mind overwriting this one. So to get started, here's where we're going to get started. Right here with our spec sheet. Alright, so here again, this is a global instruction, and I had to do some tweaking around to figure out what's this ABC here. And this is where I figured out this came in. It had to do with these links and these settings here that I'll get to in just a second, but I went with the delay effect here because that's actually going to be one of the pedals in the chain for the LFO link. And and then there's a volume setting of 0 to 99 that's mentioned here as well. If you'll see, it says pedal 0, 99, and all these three are enabled with the volume. So we started with that, and now we're going to start here with the wah, and it says wah level is a 6. Alright, and pedal 0 referring to the first pedal in the chain. So here's the pedal. Okay, it's not going to be active, but there is a wah settings here with the pedal at 6. So I am going to set that to a 6 right here. And one thing about the spec sheets is that on each one of these pedals there's an enable status. So it's either going to be 0 or 1. 0 meaning the pedal is not enabled, 1 means it is enabled. However, even though it's not enabled, it's in the chain, and if it's in the chain, that will impact the overall affected signal. So we want to make sure that we keep it in the chain and that we have the settings adjusted according to what's stated here. Alright, so that takes care of the wah pedal. The next pedal that we have in the chain is going to be this one, and that's the compressor, and it says CS comp. Alright. And so if we go back to our chain, and here's the compressor. Now this one's called main squeeze. So if I right click on it, I see there's some other options here, and this looks like to be just a regular compressor. So CS meaning compressor sustain. So if I left click on this icon here, it's going to replace that main squeeze with this one right here. Now if I want to get rid of this up here, I just find any place on the screen that's not going to change anything, and I left click on it, excuse me. Either left click or right click, left click. And it gets rid of it and it puts it back to where it was. Alright, so now here we go. That is actually, now the enable is 1, which means it's activated. So we're going to go back and activate it. And we're going to change the settings. Or just check them to make sure that they're where it should be. So the attack is at 0, the level is at 70, and the sustain is at 35. So we check it here. Here's the attack at 0. The level is at 70. And the sustain is at 35. Okay, so that one works. That's pretty good there. That wasn't any much of a change there. Now it is activated, so I just press with my left mouse button the foot stomp here, and it puts the light on it. That means it's activated. Okay, so the next one is an overdrive pedal, and that's this one here. Okay, and it says distortion 808. And so I know that's not that particular pedal because this one says it's a DOD. But if I right click on it, it pulls up all the different distortions pedals. And here's 808 right here. So if I left click on it, here's the DOD, remember? So I just click on it and look, it replaced it. So that is really cool there. And then I just want to get rid of these options up here to clear my screen, and I just left click somewhere and it gets rid of that. Alright, so I know this is not going to be on, it's going to be off. We're getting more of a clean type of sound here. And so let's check to see. We know it's not enabled. Now we've got a level at 60, overdrive is 70, and tone is 90. So we have level 60 here. Overdrive is at 70 and the tone is at 90. And just a word about how to adjust these settings. For example, the tone's at 90. Well, say the tone was going to be 30. If I left click my mouse over the setting and I go down, it will take it down to 30. You see? So if I need to adjust it and go up to 90, I just hold the left mouse button down and I go up to 90, and boom, there it is. I've got my setting. So this one's all set. Alright, so the next pedal in the chain is the equalizer pedal. No, excuse me, it's not. It's the amp. Okay, so the next one is amp, and it says 65 twin. Now there's also something here that says cabinet 11. Alright, so I'll tell you what that 11 means in a second. But we're going to first change the amp to a 65 twin. So what we do is you go up here, here's our amp. Alright, we're going to right click on it. And we're looking for something that says 65 twin. Alright, well here's a 65 and here's another 65. So it doesn't say twin on it, but that's close enough. We'll just left click on it and boom, we've got our amp. Now as far as the cabinet, here's the cabinet right here. And it says cabinet equals 11. So if I right click on the cabinet, obviously these are not numbered. However, if I count from here to number 11, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is number 10, and it's a JBL. So if I go forward just a little bit, that's number 10. Here's number 11. So this is the cabinet I'm going to be putting together with this amp right there. So that takes care of that one. Alright, so the next pedal in the chain that we'll be working with here is the equalizer. And as you can see, there's a number of different settings here that we'll need to adjust. So here's the equalizer. And the first thing I noticed here in these settings is that there's a low BW and a mid BW and a high BW. And the BW stands for bandwidth, and they're all set to 1. So if I pull up the equalizer, I notice down here, if I move this here, that would be my number 1 setting, the wide. And this would be the mid, which would be wide, and that is the high, and that would be wide. So I've got that part set. Alright, the next one I'm going to go to is the levels. So here's the levels here for the low. We've got the level at 9. Alright, so let's just take a look at that particular setting right there first. So here's the low level, and even though it does go up to 12 decibels, I noticed it starts at a minus 12. So what I did was I just counted 9 positions from the minus 12. So I'd have, that would be a minus 3. And I'll explain my reasoning for that in a second here. So that's the low. On the mid level, it has it at a 16. And this is where the logic kind of fits in, because if I go all the way up on the mid, there is no 16. Okay? So I wanted to be consistent. So if I start at a minus 12 and I go 16 positions up from there, I'm at a 4. Okay, so I get to adjust to that 16 mark. Now let's take a look at the high level. All right, so here is the high level. It's at 10. And once again, I'm being consistent with, you know, how I'm doing things. So starting with a minus 12, I'm going up 10 positions to the minus 2. So I really just have one more setting for each one of these different frequencies, and that's the actual frequency itself. Okay, so we have the low frequency is, here it is, low frequency is 9. All right, so let's pull this up here. It says 9. All right, so this is where you have to kind of guesstimate, because there is no 9. You know, it's all in hertz, but there is a 90, so we'll just go with 90 on that frequency level there. All right, and the next one is the mid frequency. So we'll take a look at that one, and here's mid frequencies at 35. So once again, we'll take a look at, well, what are our options here insofar as what we can work with. So it starts at 300 and it goes to here. Now there is a 3.55, so 3.5, 3.55, that's pretty close. So I went with that, since that was, you know, pretty close to what that's saying. And so we were at low, this was mid at 35. And, you know, if you wanted to compare, like here's a 9, here's a 35, that's a pretty big difference, you know. So we know we're, even though we're guesstimating, we're pretty much in line with the differences that are across the board here. So the next one is high frequency at 15, right? So we're going to be somewhere in the middle. If I pull this up again, you know, here's our frequency, right? So we're going to be somewhere in the middle between here and here. All right, so what were we looking at, 15? Well, there is no 15 actually. It only goes up to 8. And again, positionally, I can't adjust for 15. But there is a 3.15. And that's in between here and here. And so maybe they just left out the 3. So we'll just go with that one. And that here again, yeah, it's pretty much in line with what we've been working with. All right, so the next one we'll be working with here, the next pedal in the chain is the noise gate. And so this is pretty much set as it is, because the attack and release is at 0 and the attenuated is at 99. And if we take a look at our noise gate, again, just double click on the pedal, it'll pull it right up here. The release is at 0, the attack's at 0, and the attenuated is at 99. The easiest settings, it's like either on or off. The only one that's in the middle is this one here, that's the threshold one. So we'll take a look at that one here. And here it is, the threshold is at 40, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at that noise gate once again. And so, yeah, it actually was already preset at 40. So we're done with that. And it is enabled along with the equalizer and the compressor. This was not enabled, and neither was the distortion pedal. All right, so the next one in the chain is the volume pedal. And this one we pretty much already had set right here in that global instruction, once again, that I was working with earlier, where it said, here's pedal max 99.0, and then it talks about volume here, right? So that's already here, and I've got it 0 to 99, so we're good on that one. And so let's see, so we're at volume. The next one in the chain, number 7, enable off, and this is the mod univibe pedal. So, well, we've got a chorus here, so we want to change that. So we right click, and we're going to swap out that with a univibe. And let's see, where's our Univibe? Over a little bit here. Okay. It's the flange. And here we go. Here's Univibe. So I'm just going to left click on that and boom. Look at that. Just swapped it right out. Okay, so now this is not going to be activated. However, we want to adjust the settings. So that's a co-vibe vibrato and that's a co-vibe chorus. Okay, settings. So now here we're going to see co-vibe is 0. Well, so how I figured was, well, if this is a 1, then that's a 0. So that would be this setting here that we'll go with, not this one. And we'll just go with the vibrato setting there. Okay, and so far as the other settings, let's take a look. So we have intensity 71 and speed is 0. So here's our intensity 71. Again, we just left click on the dial and move it up, and that gets to where we want to go. And the speed is 0, and just so happens that speed here was at 12 o'clock, but there's the actual speed. The speed's at 0, so there we are. And then the volume is at 99. Well, it's not going to be enabled, it's just in the chain, but it is going to affect the signal. So here's the volume, and we're going to increase that to 99, the maximum. Okay, so the next pedal in the chain, let's take another look at that one here. It's a delay modulate pedal. So here it is, right here. So what we have in what we've been working with is the tape delay. So once again, we just right click on it, and here it says modulated delay. Just left click on that and it substitutes it right in. Right click in the empty space, or left click in the empty space somewhere, and it gets rid of that. Okay. Now let's take a look. Is it enabled? Yes, very good. So it's enabled. Alright, so we're going to change these settings here, right, because we selected delay. So we have depth 66 and delay level is 31. So let's look, depth level is 66 and delay level is 31 and repeats is 30. So level is 31 and repeats is 30. Okay, great. So we're moving right along here then. So we have something called tap division 3. This is really cool because there's nothing here really that says tap division. However, remember we talked earlier about positional settings with the EQ? Well, this is a positional setting when it says 3. It's not something that's on a dial. It could be, but here's number 1 on the multiplier. So number 1 is actually a, you see the quarter note there, and if we go up 1, it's an 8th note, so that's position number 2. And then if we go up another 1, it's a dotted 8th, so that's position number 3. So that's what they mean. Here again, it's just some of these guesstimates and tap division there. Time is 590. So here's something called time, and actually it's not 590, but it's 0.590 because it only goes up to 5. So you'd want to put 590 as close as you can get it, and it looks like 573 would be close. 598, that's pretty close. So we'll go with that, and we're going to enable it. That's our delay pedal right here. So that's really cool. Alright, so the next one in the chain is the reverb pedal. Here it is, reverb level. Alright, it's reverb level, but it's actually a specific type of reverb called the M plate. Alright, so if we click on it, see all the different ones we have here. It just so happens that We do have one that's called plate, so we're going to go with that. There again, just get rid of that top part. There we go. All right, and let's see. So far as it is enabled, and we have decay at 88. All right, so we enable it. Click on the little foot switch. It's enabled. And we have delay at 88. Or was it decay? Which one was it now? Oh, decay was 88. Liveliness is 80. Okay, decay is 88. And liveliness is 80. Alright, so we've got that. And let's see. And let's see what else we got. We got pre-delay is 0 and reverb level is 50. Alright, so we have pre-delay 0 and level is 50. Right? Let's double check. Yep, level 50, pre-delay 0. And it is enabled. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we've gone through all the different presets and we've got them all set up. And before we actually demo the sound here, just a few things I wanted to say about that. I'm actually going to do this in reverse. So in other words, I'm going to play the affected signal and then I'm going to play the bypass signal. Simple reason being that if I toggle out of this into bypass, I will lose all the changes unless it is saved. So before saving it, I'll just show you how to do that. Right up here it says store now. If you just click on it, you can select a different name. So for example, you want to say Crazy Diamond. So here's Crazy Diamond. And you can then use a drop down here to any other one here and just select whichever you wanted to overwrite with, and it would save it there. I'm gonna hit cancel, but to actually save it you'd press OK. Alright, so we're back to the total preset, and go ahead and demo this now for you. So that will give you an idea here. By the way, I am using, playing through a Gibson Les Paul and also going through a Marshall amplifier. So here's the now the affected signal with our presets done. Okay, so that sounds pretty close to what we were after. Now, insofar as the dry signal goes, to give you an idea on that, I'm just going to hit bypass here and play the same exact thing. This way, it's the dry signal. So there you go. Okay, we have our signal now all set, and now just so you would think we did all that work for nothing. Actually, we didn't do all that work for nothing, because I have already believe it or not, yes, I did save that patch to a different location prior to this demo. However, I'm real happy with the results. I did definitely get to the sound that I wanted it to be at. And thank you for checking out my video here. And till next time, take care.